God bless you and welcome to the Hour of Power. We thank you for tuning in. We come to you live from the store of Healthy You. And we just thank God for God allowing us this time to share with you. We thank you for tuning in. We ask that you like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors that we are on. I thank God for my beautiful wife and my beautiful mother. Uh, it is it is a great joy to come back to you again. We've been took a little time off, and it's good to hope. Well, it's good to see you. I can't see you, but it's good to see you. Hope all is well. All is well here. We took a little time off, and we're back. There's so much to talk about, so much that we need to discuss. But we just thank God for you tuning in, and we thank God for allowing us to share this time with you. Let us have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time. We thank you for our life, health, and strength. We thank you for this day, God. We ask that you would be in our discussion, God, that you would open up our understandings. In the matchless, wonderful name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Thank God and amen. Again, please like, subscribe, tell your friends and your family that we're on. Uh, for the last year, we've been talking about coronavirus, COVID-19, the do's and the don'ts. Hopefully, we have been a good source of energy and information for you. It's been a very tiring time, if you will, and I hope that we've been a spot of energy for you. Um, so much has happened. I think our last stream was the week before Thanksgiving. So much has happened. We lost our dear Mother Higgins, and we're praying for the Higgins family. Um, we got a new president. Um, so much has happened. Um, we have lost several loved ones and several people in our family or close friends um, that we were not able to um, say goodbye, if you will, say goodbye to. Um, and it's been a trying time. God is still has been faithful to us, but it's been, and not but in addition to that, it's been a trying time. We have not been able to touch our loved ones and um, to see about them. I finally um, went against everything that I know, and I went to go see Mother Higgins, and I wish I would have went earlier, but I just couldn't take it no more. And but it's that time, and so much has happened. We, as it relates to New Jerusalem, we have been out of church for a whole year.
Wow.
Um, I think this coming Sunday will be a year that we have not been able to fellowship as a body. And so I hope we have been a bright spot in your day with our streams. If you go back to our first streams to now, the Lord has brought us a mind, and we got a long ways to go. But I hope we've been a bright spot in your week. But it's been a year. It's been a year of really little to no contact, um, personal. You know, we've been in calling and all of that stuff, but it's been a year of not seeing our brothers and sisters. Um, over 500,000,
Wow.
500,000 in November. Remember, in November, they were saying by the first of the year, another 200,000 people
Right.
would die. And we looking at over right now, 500,000. We looking at over 28 million cases, over 28 million cases.
Wow.
Um, now we have a new strand in which that's a whole nother conversation. I think it's a couple new strands. It's a New York strand. It's an Africa strand. It's a Brazilian. Something like and that's a whole nother situation that we will get to.
Yeah.
Let me stop here. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please write it in the comment section, and we will get to it. God bless you, Pastor and Lady Jackson. It's good to see you virtually. Um, and so it's a lot going on. The different strands, they say it's more infectious and more deadlier. Well, first they said that it was more infectious, but not deadlier. but now they're saying it's more infectious and deadlier. But we knew then if it's more infectious, then we knew then the deadlier would come. Um, Now we have a vaccination, and we're finding out that the people that's being vaccinated is catching corona. It is so much that we need to talk about. It's so much that we need to discuss. Um, and so again, we thank you all for tuning in. We dare not try to talk about all of this in this one setting. It's just way too much. But I do want to jump right in because things are getting back to normal. Um, Not from the virus standpoint, but by the officials, the mayors, the governors. Um, they are looking to get things back to normal. Um, the governor of Texas lifted the mask ban. I think it's Texas and Tennessee, I believe. And it's really it's a copycat state. So it'll be a whole bunch of other states following. Because Texas still have a very high rate of death, of cases.
Right.
So to lift that mask ban, I think is it's troubling,
Yeah.
to say the least. It's very troubling. But things like that will push um, the rest of us, or the rest of the states, to go back to normal.
Mhm.
And we was talking off camera. What exactly is normal? That's a very good question, because I don't know what normal is now. But the numbers don't reflect
No.
normalcy. The numbers don't reflect that we should go back to normal, even with the vaccination. And even with the vaccination, only 7% of the population has been vaccinated.
Mhm.
Now, it's amazing. I'm doing a whole bunch of talking because I haven't seen y'all in a long time.
Mhm.
It's amazing to me that only 7% of the population has been vaccinated.
Mhm.
They claim to have enough for everybody,
Yeah.
but we can't get it.
Can't get it. Can't get it.
We have enough in stock, enough in place, but you
Mhm.
can't get it
Mhm.
because everybody's out of stock.
Out of stock.
And so with Texas, Tennessee, and different states, Michigan has gone to 50% occupancy.
Mhm.
Now, Michigan was one of the states that were really hard on the businesses when they would step out of bounds.
Mhm.
They would be caught in violation, and they would fine them.
Right.
And so now to say, okay, you can go to 50%, they're going to push the envelope to see how far they can go.
Mhm.
Um, so now things getting back to normal. The numbers don't reflect it. How do we go about work, school, everyday living, meetings, groups, and even church? How do we go about this normalcy, or this new way of normal,
Mhm.
um, in the midst of a pandemic? Um, I'm not really for sure if the numbers have plateaued. I don't. Well, they're starting to plateau, but I don't think it's been long enough to call it, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I'm just a doc. I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV.
Mhm.
Uh, but in my opinion, I don't think it's been a long enough plateau to call it a plateau. Um, and even if it was a plateau, I guess that would be encouraging to know that no more is catching it. But it's not been, in my opinion, a long enough
Mhm.
plateau to go back to lifting a no mask ban, or no mask state.
Well, I heard a statement on the news last night, and they were saying don't take the plateau that serious, because now they're measuring a COVID death in a different manner than what they did at first. So they're playing with the COVID numbers, which is going to give us a false plateau.
And you bring up a whole nother slippery slope,
Hmm.
because they had a group of doctors come on and say that we are not recategorizing these deaths.
Hmm.
And if you have to say that, then I
They
mean,
have. They've already done it. Hmm.
and so and that's a whole nother show.
Hmm.
Um, the categorizing.
And
Of
even
the deaths.
listen, they've got all of these people, thousands and thousands of people frozen in these semi trucks that were deaths due to COVID. Now they're going back, and when they're getting ready to funeralize the people, they're going to their underlying condition. If it was heart trouble, they're not gonna classify that as COVID. They're gonna restructure that, and that's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people in semi trucks frozen.
And even with the rerouting, if you will, of the numbers and the issues of the cause of death, the still corona is still high.
Well, my problem is, and I'm really upset about this, Dr. Jada, because at the point of you entering the hospital with corona, as they took you on as a patient, that was money.
Mhm.
If they put you on the respirator, that was money. Now they want to take all of that. You keep the money, but now it was no longer COVID. It was because you had kidney failure.
And that's a whole nother show too, because you starting several shows.
All right. I don't want to either.
But
Let's
but
stick
that's
with-
that's a main issue because
Mhm.
remember, let's get back to work. Get back to work.
Yeah,
get back
because
to work.
they're saying the numbers are kind of leveling out, but for real, are they? Can we believe everything that we're hearing now?
Well, yesterday at 1 o'clock, I believe the number of deaths just for yesterday was almost at 1,000 at 1 p.m.
Mm, mm, mm.
Pretty high.
That's high. That's high. Mhm.
And I know they you can go online and to do the research and to look at the stats.
Mhm,
Like every 3 seconds, someone
Mhm.
dies of cancer, or every 3 seconds,
mhm,
someone dies of a car accident.
mhm.
But for a day, it was not even over.
Wow.
Oh, our technician our mic got in the way. You can push it up. But for a day,
Mhm, mhm.
it was 1 o'clock.
Wow. It's like noon.
1,000 people had already died.
Mm.
And so the governor of Texas saw fit to lift the mask,
Mhm.
as if
Mm.
the pandemic, or
Mhm.
as if the virus had just subsided.
Mhm.
Not even um,
Mhm.
it's not gone,
Mhm.
but even that, as if the numbers have gone down in his state.
I don't think that those changes are motivated by what the virus is doing. These things and these changes are motivated by political movements. If you look at these states, are likely Republican states and or financially motivated.
Mhm.
So a mandate of mask should still be in place because they tell you even if you take the vaccine, you still have to socially distance
Right.
and wear a mask
Wear your
because they
mask.
don't have
Mhm.
any type of proof that this vaccine
Mhm.
will prevent you from transmitting it. It may prevent you from getting a severe case or case, but you may still be able to pass it.
Mhm.
So it could potentially make you an asymptomatic carrier. Now, that being said, why would you lift a mask mandate when there's no proof yet that this um, vaccine can stop you from spreading it, and we have no proof of the effectiveness of the vaccine on these new strains?
Mm.
They've already said this. The strain that's come out of Africa is showing some resistance to the vaccine. So just those bits of information alone is frightening to see that they're being careless with people's lives.
Mhm.
Very careless. And you started another show. I guess y'all have to break up and just y'all have to do your own show. But I agree, because remember, they were saying get back to work, get back to work, get back to work. Now the minimum wage, that bill comes up to raise minimum wage. They don't want to raise minimum wage,
Oh,
but they
no,
want us to get
of
back to
course
work.
not. Get back to work.
Get back to
though.
work.
We don't want to pay you.
And then we found out that the essential workers were people that look like us.
Mhm.
So they want us back to work. They didn't want to
Mhm.
give us a pay, but they want us back to work. So it's all financially
Mhm.
and money motivated,
Absolutely.
and we have to be careful. Um, so how does this look? How things getting back to normal? The numbers has not reflect that.
Mm-mm.
So how do we go about work, school, I have I watched some of this the what they call the PTA meetings, the school board council meetings. The parents, a lot of parents want their children back in school, and I just didn't understand it. I do know that um, the children are having a hard time, um, whether you're a straight A or below average student. It's tough, and for a long time, I didn't want to realize and recognize it. But I'm still not at the point where I'm crying to the school board to open
Oh,
up schools.
no.
I'm not at that point, and I didn't understand that. And so the schools are going to open up, and it's rumors that after spring break, you hear so many things, but after spring break, the schools will be open. So how do we go about this?
Well, one of the things you brought up is the parents wanting their kids to go back to school. You have to look at how this virus has impacted people from every direction. So you have people who have sent their kids to school from kindergarten or preschool to current, whether no matter what age, they've had every day with their child at least a portion of the day away from them. So number one, you have people who are now stuck at home, working from home with the kids in the house. So now you're getting it from both sides because you're expected to be a stay-at-home teacher and a work from home professional. So some of these people are overwhelmed. It's not about the risk of the virus. It's about, I need some type of normalcy back. If I have to stay in this house and work, this kid needs to go to school because I can't do both.
But see, that's the very thing. If I have to stay at home to work because of the virus, so my child needs to stay at home because of the virus. The very reason why you're home is the very reason why your child should be.
Right. I agree. But I just think that that's how some of these parents, they're in over their head. If I can't, or if I'm an essential worker and I don't have higher than potentially a comprehension of a fifth grader or just barely a high school diploma, and I'm supposed to help my child with education that I can't understand, where does that leave us? I can't teach you trigonometry if I only did basic, math. So some of these people are they're struggling with being a parent, being a worker or a professional, and being a teacher, because now the teachers can't teach effectively through the monitor because they weren't effective in the class, some of them. So I don't agree with it personally, but I think that has a lot to do with it. The mental effects. There's a lot of mental health issues coming behind this pandemic that people aren't really addressing.
And then, before the pandemic, someone did a statistics as to how many minutes a parent actually spend with their child in the span of a day. And it's embarrassing.
Yep.
So if we go on those statistics that are already set, that the average parent does not spend 20 minutes with their child in the span of a day, and it's horrible at the end of the week. So you're really just kissing them goodbye and maybe reading a book at night time. So before the pandemic, you didn't really spend no time with them anyway. So now all of a sudden you're forced to spend some time with a stranger. And then our children have problems. They're finding out that there are more mental problems surfacing now. Parents are beginning to drink more. They're finding out that even you got problems that you didn't know, that you weren't aware that you were so short patient and short-wit. So now we've got all of these people in a house, maybe 7 people, maybe 5, maybe 12, that never really spent any time together anyway. And when they were together, it was rush and do this, hurry up and eat this, hurry up and get dressed. And so now we've got all day together, and it's difficult for them to deal with.
I think we're still dealing with the piece of not feeling or thinking this can happen to me. I think it's a large number of people that see the numbers, see the deaths, see the cases, but just have the perception that it won't be me. It can't happen to me. Um, because again, I just, with the way things are, I just couldn't see a parent crying
Mhm.
to it's a hard time. It's been a rough time for everybody, but crying to open up the schools um, when the numbers are even higher
Mhm.
than they were when they decided to close.
And that's the parent that's really not looking at the numbers. They're looking at, I've been here with these little folks for a year now. Y'all got to do something. Y'all got to help me out. Now, I'm a different type of parent. I am a totally different type of parent. But now the millennials is a different set of people. So now we're not even looking at your generation. We're looking at the millennials. Is that what they
Millennials.
millennials? The
Same thing.
millennials, yeah. Totally different mindset. Totally different career.
Well, they was brought up different.
Right.
They were the latchkey kids. So TV raised them.
Yeah.
So I'm jumping around here. So being forced to proceed with life as normal, how does that look? How do we go about that? Because one of the things with us is it was really strange because we are considered essential workers. We're a healthcare provider, and so when the virus first hit, one of my questions was, do we remain open? And we found out that we had to. So it was hard for me because we were still working, but not going to church. We wasn't doing nothing else, but that kind of messed with me. And I found out that I was special. I found out that I had some
The short
some
bus,
things going.
the yellow bus.
Had some things going on. So how do we proceed or go through life with, we're going to be pushed to normalcy, whether you want to or not, whether you like it or not, we're going to be pushed to normal. And I have several questions around this, but what does that look like?
One of the things that I can say, I don't think we'll go back to what we perceive to be normal prior to the pandemic. I do think that we will shift in terms of getting out again and, opening up the businesses and things like that. But I do think that people will stay cautious, hopefully, in terms of their interactions and their cleanliness and the way that they go about their day to day. And I think that should be what normal looks like going forward. My fear is people don't understand how these viruses work. As you already talked about, there's several variations, and that's exactly what's expected of a virus. Viruses mutate. Viruses, they change themselves to be resistant to what is coming against them. And that's why with the flu shot, you have to get it every year, because every year that virus is smart enough to change something to make itself resistant to that vaccine. So I don't anticipate this being a one and done type of vaccine. I think that they're going to make it something that is annual or potentially more frequent, depending on how fast this virus mutates. And as you see, it's been exactly a year and you have 4 or 5 different variations that have surfaced. So that gives you kind of the timeline of its mutation capability, because it's been almost a year and now you have these new strains. And I believe one of the strains have 23 changes that it made from the beginning of this virus to now. So that just gives you an idea of how much it can change itself.
And that's why, excuse me, that's why I asked the question, how does it look? Because of this fact here, and these mutations are deadlier than the original. And so now we could be faced with a whole nother scenario, other than what we are looking at now.
I think that we're going to have to be very cautious, because on a percentage basis, I think us being careful, and we yet had 500,000 people to die, and then we still have about 3 million people that has it. um, I would say it's going to be a lot more people that's going to die, because what's going to happen is already people are not using the safety um, CDC
Mm.
tactics. They're not using them like they were at first. They're a little slowful with the mask. They're not washing their hands as much. They're around crowds. They're entertaining lunch and dinner and parties. So it's just going to be a lot of people, and especially with the new strands that are out, which are not new. I believe they have concealed a whole lot from us. But however, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a lot of people that's going to die, because now people are not practicing as much safety precautions as they did before. And so now it's easy because a lot of people are just ready to get out. They're tired of being at home, and it's just a handicap, and it's a bothersome for them to be at home, and they're ready to get out. So it's going to be a lot of deaths. Mhm.
So then my last question, excuse me, my last question is, or my second to last question, um, do we let life pass by? And what I mean by life, jobs, schools, business meetings, gatherings, church, um, moving on, moving forward. Do we not do those things, or do we uh, do those things? What do you think? Do we let life, finance, fellowship, do we let that pass? And what I mean by pass is, do we stay back, hold backs from gathering, whether it's business or church related? Uh, what is your thinkings on that?
I think that we
Do
need.
we stay quarantined? Do we stay quarantined and let things pass?
I think that we have to allow our children at some point or another to go back to school. I don't know if the conditions will ever be right again, or conducive to them going, because we have a lot of ill children, and we have to consider the children. We have ill teachers. They're even talking about retiring senior teachers. So, there's a lot of planning that needs to take place. Um, as far as church groups, I think that a lot of churches never stopped. And if they did, they only stopped for COVID for a few minutes, and then they picked back up. But I think that we need to be very, very precautious in whatever we're doing. And I think the things that are necessary, and I do think that somewhere along the road, church is necessary. People need to get back to work. People, they're not going to be able to collect unemployment very much longer. And at some point in time, we don't have a program that would be adequate for all of the people that are not working. So they have to get back to work. So I think that, even though I don't think that the government has a good plan in store for us, or even I think they're just going to rush us out there like a herd type system thing. But at some point or another, we're going to have to start doing some things that are necessary.
I agree 100%. I think that we have to prioritize what we decide to do, and be strategic and cautious with how we proceed forward with life and with our activities. I think we still need to do what we deem to be necessary. I
Mhm.
don't think we need to do large gatherings yet. I do think that we need to send the kids back to school. And teach them how to be cautious as much as possible. You have to look at some of these kids, their only meals come from school. In the beginning, they were handing out food to these kids. What's been happening since that was the big thing or the it thing? So, there's a lot of things that go back into opening back up society that will be positive, but at the same time, you wouldn't just go on your first day back to the pool and jump off the diving board. You would kind of wade in the shallow end and work your way down. So I think that that's how we have to approach this pandemic. We have to just proceed with caution and use our knowledge that we've gathered and be prayerful with what we do.
What do you all think? Let me know what you think. Do we stay quarantined or do we go out um, with caution, proceed with caution? Write in the chat room and let me know what you think. We thank God for Minister Marsh, Mother Carmen. We thank God for you. Lady Jackson said, I guess I'm special too. I think a lot of us found out how special we were in the last year. So God bless all the special people. I guess I don't feel all alone. But so much has happened. But we have so much to thank God for. We still here. We still here. Had to cry, but we still here. We heard it a little bit, but we still here, and that just shows that God is faithful. And God is not so much faithful to us. He's faithful to his word.
Yeah.
That's way bigger than us. And so we just thank God for a man of his word that you can trust. And we thank God for God keeping and covering us. The stress and the mental health of the schools, because at first I thought, man, I wish I had virtual learning. And then I started to see the wear and tear. And I saw the teachers not being equipped with the material that they need. And they was just not, in my opinion, effective enough. And so at some point we will have to get back to school. At some point we will have to go back to work. And I think that point is already here. The meetings and financial things of that nature that we just have to take care of. Because I don't see another shutdown. Even with these different strands, I don't see a shutdown. No. And it almost seemed like, and this is just me, I'm not a professional, but it almost seemed like the herd mentality, the herd, what is it? The herd immunity. That we go in and throw the vaccination out there, and we're going to open up, and then we'll see what happens. Because if you notice, for the holidays, it peaked. And so I guess they will try to look at those type of numbers to see how well the vaccination is going. And which, in my opinion, not enough time has came by, and not enough people has been vaccinated. You talking about less than 10% of the population has been vaccinated. And so it's a lot of things to think about. It's a lot of stuff to pray about. Proceed with caution. Be careful. Consider where you're going. And ask questions. I mean, it's time to ask questions. Will there be social distancing? Where is this at? Even down to the point of ventilation. I mean, is it going to be a closed space? Is it going to be an open space? How's the ventilation? Because that is something to think about.
And then mainly, we are in a pandemic. That hasn't changed. So in anything that you're going to change in your lifestyle, remember what we're in the midst of. And as Dr. Jada said, proceed very cautiously. This is not the time to do some of the things that you did in the past. Do the things that are of a necessity. And one of the things that we don't have enough compassion are those that are not working. I mean, there are people that haven't worked for a whole year. And the report that I'm getting from the lower income people is not a good report as far as getting unemployment. I mean, it's a real problem. And of course, there are millions. It's 90 million people unemployed.
And they never took care of that problem.
They never took care of it.
Even with the PPE loans and things.
They didn't.
The big dogs ate it all. And then they tried to do it again. And their friends got it. So that
and
never.
let me tell you something else.
And that's a whole nother show that you.
It's another. But there are people that haven't worked, haven't had an income for a year, and has been kicked out.
Mhm.
So now we've got, in one household, we've got 5 or 6 families that have been evicted, and they're all living in the same house. How can you practice safety? You know, there are situations that you don't see this on the news. You're not going to see this. You're not going to see the senior citizens that's having problems and struggling now and being evicted. You know, there's stuff that we're not seeing. That's why we have to be very, very cautious and very, very prayerful. We got to think about those people that's dealing with unemployment and no money coming in and having to go from food bank to food bank to food bank and not able to get their medication. I heard someone say the other day, my medication is too high. I can't afford it. Really? I mean, we've got some serious matters going on. So some people have to go back to work.
And so we are in prayer for the saints and people everywhere that God will continue to keep into cover, and that we will continue to be careful and remain vigilant, and if nothing else, keep ourselves safe. Um, it's been a year, so we pretty much know the high times of the stores. We pretty much know the lay of the land,
Right.
and so we have to stay and remain conscious of that. Some high points: we have a Black vice president,
Yeah.
which is big.
You
A
left
Black,
off female.
yes,
Female.
a woman.
It's really big.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Second in command.
Mm-hmm.
I sound old, but I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. You know, and my grandfather or
Oh,
my
my
great grandfather would
goodness.
say
Oh, they wouldn't believe
he
it.
would turn over his grave.
Oh my goodness.
And so still reaching milestones. It's 2021. And as a Black people, we are still going through the first this and the first that. Seem like we should be past that, but we have a sister in the White House.
Yes, we do.
Well, we had a sister in the White House, so she's vice president, and just thank God for that. Those senators, was that Georgia? We flipped Georgia, and just thank God for that. He's a preacher.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, he's a pastor. He pastored is it Ebenezer? Martin Luther King's church.
Ebenezer.
Yeah. So we have some things to praise God for. Pray for us. We're praying for you all. We will be in touch with you and let you know what we're going to do as far as church. We thank God for your prayers and support, contributions. We ask that you would partner with us and be a blessing to the ministry, that you would plant seeds here at New Jerusalem. You already know how to do it. You can look at the captions below through the Square or through Square or through our Cash App. And we ask that you would be a blessing to us. Again, thank you for tuning in. It is with great joy. It's been so long, but it's with great joy we have been able to come to you. And hopefully we said something that you can apply to your life. Hopefully we said something that you can spread and share, because we want the people of God to be safe, and we want the people of God to know what's really going on. We say all the time, don't listen to what they have to say, listen to what they're not saying. And so we just want to be a place of information for you. We thank you for tuning in, and it's till next time we say God bless you, and we'll see you later.